What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're continuing working with OpenAI API and working on, we're gonna use our DALL-E 2 project that we finished in the video previously. I'll link that in the description, but what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be using some of the code we created in here to implement our ChatGPT chatbot. That way we don't have to like redo a whole bunch of stuff, and we can use this here. So in the description, the link will be here, or you could watch the video and like code this out yourself. So if you're getting this from the GitHub, you just want to click on the code here, download zip. You unzip this bad boy. All right. And then it should pop up like in your downloads or something. I'll move it to my, what do you call it? To my desktop. Select trust and open. And that should be the project that we're working on. So what we first want to do is get rid of the main storyboard, all the main storyboard stuff. So we want to delete that. Hit main again, and then in the P list we want to delete this one. And that should get rid of main. All right. And what else do we want to do? Now we have to go into the scene delegate. In the scene delegate, we have to create a window scene. Window scene. You wanna then you create a window from the window scene. I think it's UI window scene. And then you make key invisible, and then window dot set root view controller. And I'm not gonna set this yet because I want to create. We're gonna create a new view controller. So you want to click new. We use CocoaTouch class, and it's a UI view controller, and we'll just call it GPT. Let's use GPT-3 since it's version 3 we're working with. All right, and now in the app delegate, or the scene delegate, sorry, you do GPT-3 view controller, and to test if this works, let's change the background color of this to system blue. You hit Command R, and this is going to take a second because I have to launch the simulator. All right, now if you open your simulator, you see like an empty blue screen. So that means we're good to go. All right, so what are we gonna do first? All right, first let's go back to our API service actually, because we're gonna have to work with this API, the OpenAI API. And what do we need to do? We need to open this up, open API. We need to get our, what do you call it? Your API key. And this should be here, and you should have this from the last project if you guys watched the video. If not, just generate a new one. I'm gonna copy and paste mine into this. I have it here off screen. All right, and what we need to do is to make this function more flexible, because we're gonna have to change the body that we're sending to in our HTTP request. Like if we go to the documentation, we send a different body than we do when we're doing the image generation with DALL-E 2. So I just created a variable called isDALL-E, and this is a Boolean, and then it should ask us to fix it, and then if DALL-E, this one is true. And what we'll do is, so if is DALL-E, else do something else. All right, so if it's DALL-E, this will be the JSON body. I think it's JSON, right? How do you pronounce it? All right, and now we'll need to create one for what do you call it, the GPT response. So in here we need the model, and we'll be using Text DaVinci 3 for now. So how should we do this? Let's create a model, string model, and then it's a string Text DaVinci. Oh, all right, model Text DaVinci, and then we need a comma. I think we can get rid of n equals 1, and now we need max tokens actually. So we can get rid of these because we're not going to use these for the ChatGPT response or request. Max tokens. For max tokens, I want to boost it up because what this max tokens is doing is it'll cut off whatever response you're getting from ChatGPT. So if you only have, like, for example, 7, it might cut off like very shortly. And you can set this to whatever you want to. Like, you see it goes up to, some go up to 248. The newest models go up to like 496. And you can learn more about tokens. It's like the way they account for how long the response we're getting will be from the model. I like to use 25. I picked that because that gives us decent length. Because you don't want to do too many tokens, because I believe there's a limit to how many you can do. And this will just be token for each response. So it's not like they're going to tally it up total and limit you. It'll just be for each specific response. It'll be capped off at 20, 25. And you'll also see in the response, like, well, let's see. You're hearing the response. Here in this finish reason, if the max tokens is, if it wasn't enough, if you didn't have enough tokens, it'll say it'll say stop, I believe. Yeah, because you see usage, it comes in the response as well. So completion tokens 7, total tokens 12. So we didn't reach our limit, or did we? Actually, no, wait. It said 7, but I think the response was exactly 7, so it didn't alter the response here, because you'll see some will get cut off. But enough talking. So this is set up, and now we just have to create a function that's gonna fetch our data. So we'll call this func send prompt to GPT, and we'll pass in a string called prompt. This is the async throws function, and we'll expect it to return us a string. All right, and I'll do return this for now, just so Xcode will stop yelling. All right, so we need a URL, and if you go to the documentation, the URL to create a completion is this one. So we're just gonna copy that. So let completion URL equal, copy and paste. Sometimes it gets weirdly formatted, you know. All right, now we're gonna make the URL request, and thanks to our function that we set up in the previous video, we're able to just use it. And that's a neat part of creating functions and code that is, what's the word, kind of abstracted and reusable, because we can just use it here in this URL session. We're going to use async await, of course, like we did in the previous one. Data for URL request. No, wait. Oh, sorry. Actually, we're going to use URLs. We're going to use the function we created. Sorry. First, we have to use it to get a URL request, and then we'll make the URL session request. So we're going to use post. So post method. You can check the documentation right here. Post. All right. What else do we need? The prompt is what we'll pass in, and then is it dolly? False. So since it's not dolly, it'll put this in the body, the JSON body that we're sending into the URL request. Yeah. And now that we have our URL request, we can create our network request using URL session. So let data and response equal try await URL session share data 4. And we'll just pass it our URL request. Now we need to create a decoder. And actually, I think we have to create our models, right? We haven't done that. So I'm gonna create a new folder called models, so we can put these in there. I'm actually gonna rename this to dolly response I'll create a new file called, create a new Swift file called Dolly. So Dolly, we'll just paste that in there. And we're gonna create a new file, call this GPT response. We're gonna create a struct, GPT response, conform to decodable. Now we have to look at a response. So our response is, this is what we're getting our response. You're gonna get an ID, response ID, object text completion created. You get a date passed with it. You get the model, you get the choices. We only really care about the choices. So I'm gonna call this, so you do let choices. And what is choices actually? Choices is, you see here an array of objects, it looks like. Yeah, an array of, and it's an array of a single object, but it's still an array of objects. And we'll call the object completion. And then we need to create a struct called completion. And let's call this GPT completion because it's gonna be kind of weird to call it completion, right? You might get confused. Wait, why is this yelling at us? All right, there we go. Command B. And now what do we need for the completion? We just want the text. I grabbed the text and the finish reason. And the reason is because you might want to display something if the response is getting cut off because you reach the max amount of tokens. You might want to let the user know that. So that's why I grabbed the finish reason. So we're gonna do, I believe it was text, which was a string, and finish reason, which was a string. And one thing to note, because this is in camel case, we're gonna have to let what's it called? We're gonna have to let Swift know that it's our response is in camel case. You do that with your decoder. So basically, right here in this decoder, you do key decoding strategy and convert from snake case. I said camel case. This is in snake case. Sorry about that. I get confused with the naming sometimes, but that's all you want to do to make sure we get the appropriate response. And let's change this file. I see we named it Dolly. Let's change it to Dolly response. All right. So in our API service, now we just want to decode our data. So let results equal decoder, decode. I think, oh, we need to try. This is GPT response dot self data. Try. You can just return results, choices, 0.text. And this should always work because I believe the response is always just a single array of one object. You might want to, what's it called? Verify, like in the future. This might change or not, so you might have to switch up this, the way we're doing it here, but for now this will work. All right, so, and that's it for our network response. So we can close out of all of this, and let's try to use it. So task, what task should we do? We'll do try await API service dot send prompt. What prompt should we send? Let's send, wait, what error are we getting? We'll call this res, short for result. And what prompt should we pass in? Which is better? Or what is better? iOS or Android? Did I spell Android right? I forget sometimes. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. All right. Oh, there's Rocky. All right. So when we run this, it's working. Sorry about that, Rocky. My dog started barking. Somebody probably walked by or something. So yeah, it's working. You see here, and something interesting about the responses is, in the response, there's always 2 line breaks at the beginning of the response. I'm not sure why. And you can see that here where these two spaces we have, these two line breaks. And it said, this is subjective and can depend on individual needs, preference, budget. And ultimately is up to the user. And you see it's cut off here because we reached the maximum amount of tokens for our response. So now let's code this bad boy up. So what do we need? Let's add some UI. So let's make a GPT label, which will be a UI label. Let label equal UI label. And we'll return label. I think I need to put some parentheses. What else do we need? We'll use a table view. All right, and what else? Oh, we need a text field. And we can use a text, we can use this text field. And to be honest, so a challenge for you guys would be to create a custom text field for this project, and that way you can use it in this view controller and that one, and it reduces the amount of code and it makes your view controller a lot smaller, which is really good in big projects especially. So let table equal table, UI table view, sorry. Return table. And here, what do we want to tell it? Please enter, what did please enter a prompt? We'll just, do you have any questions? And for this label, set the translate auto resizing mask to false. What else? Font, we'll do 24 and we'll do a weight of regular. Label, we'll do text. For text, we'll call this, we'll say the future is here. The future is here, and for alignment, we'll do center. And that's it for now for the label. This looks good to me. What else do we want? I think we want a button. We want a button, and let's just copy this button actually. Oh, we'll copy this button over, and again, you could do the custom button thing. And for here, we'll do submit. Did tap submit, and so it looks like we need to create a function at objc func did tap submit. It did tape submit. All right, and so we have our button. I think that's all the UI we need for now. I'll let you know if we add, we'll probably add the activity indicator again. But let's create a configure UI function where we're gonna lay everything out. Private func configure UI. And then we'll just add everything to the sub view. So what do we add first? The GPT label, the UI table view. We want to add the, what was it? The text field, prompt text. I forgot to hit add sub view. That's funny. Add sub view. View.add sub view. Submit button. And now we can just lay out our constraints. So activate. And again, y'all, another cheat code. We can kind of piggyback off of these constraints and try to make our lives easier, but we'll see actually. So we don't have an image view, so we'll just use this for the label. And let's make this like 75 from the top. We'll keep this centered. We'll keep the width the same. We'll change the height to like 100. And we actually need a table view. So let's see. Let's copy and paste this. Copy and paste this. Makes our life a lot easier. It's having to write all these out. All right, so we want this 20 below the GPT label. The center X. Actually, for the table view though, we'll just want a leading anchor constraint equal to view.leading anchor. do 0. And we actually want this for the leading and the trailing as well. So I'm gonna just do this. Trailing anchor, and we can get rid of the height. No, wait. We can get rid of the width, sorry. The height we're still gonna need, and for the height, I'm gonna do like 400 since I'm using the iPhone 14. It's a pretty big phone. And this will have to be the table view. This will be underneath the table view. And this is a prompt text field. For this, I want to shrink this down to 100. And this is below the prompt. All right, let's run this and see how it looks. So we hit Command R. Oh, I messed up somewhere. Oh. Table view, translate, auto resizing mask, equal to false. I forgot to do everything for the table view actually. Let's register it. Let's run it for now. I don't think anything will show because we haven't. Oh, this has to be a cell. Alright, look, the future is here. Let's change the background color to system.background. Let's run that now. Oh, this is still being called. I need to move this out of here. The future is here. Let's change the label background. Background color equal system gray 6. Corner radius equal 100 or 10. Sorry. All right. And let me close these because I like to keep my tabs clean. All right, now let's register this. So we can, in this table view, you can not register it, but let's assign the delegate and the data source. This is gonna be lazy var. Command R here. Oh, we gotta assign it. So extension, GPT-3 view controller, and we also do data source. Table view, data source. Oh, one thing we need to create is, I'm gonna create an array called chat, which is gonna be an array of strings, and it's gonna hold the text we send to the ChatGPT and also the text we get back. And that's what we're gonna put on that's what we're gonna use for our table views, our UI table views, so it'll look like kind of like a messaging app. And let's remove this. All right. So we need to register our cell. All right. So you just do the good old cell, and we're gonna create a custom cell in a little bit. So just be mindful. I think we need the number of rows in section, yeah. For that one, we're gonna return chat.count. Let's run this and see how it looks. Oh, where's the corner radius? Oh, I need to do clips to bounds. Set this to true. And in this table, something for later, what is it? Separator color. Set this to clear. It looks nicer in my opinion. When you do it this way, let's run this again, see what we have. All right. Wait, let's go back to the simulator. What happens if I hit submit? Submit. All right. Let's step out our submit function. Again, we can, let's copy and paste this right here. Well, let's do this because we're gonna need it. We're gonna have a similar setup in our submit function. So we want to resign first responder, prompt text. We're gonna make it longer than 3, and let's create a function, private func. We're gonna call this fetch chat, fetch GPT chat response for prompt. I had to think a little bit about the name. All right, and here we're gonna have a task, and I actually want to have a do and catch block again, in case we have an error. You know, again, something always good is to reference the way we did in the old one, because it's very similar. Sorry about that. So we're gonna create the network call here. So let let's say GPT text equal try await API service prompt. All right, and I think that's all we need, right? Yeah, and then we're gonna want to call the main actor, because whatever we get back, we want to display it on our table view, and we're gonna have to do that on the main thread. So what do we need? And one thing too is, actually, if you guys remember that our response, we're getting the 2 break lines, so we can actually account for that by, so if we'll make this a var, and we'll do ChatGPT text, use ChatGPT replace occurrences, or no, replacing occurrences of \n. That's a backslash, right? Yeah, no, it's a / with empty quotation marks. And actually, we don't need to do that, because what we could do is we'll just do chat.append. We'll append this to the chat, but before we append that, we actually need to append. What do we need to append? We need to append our prompt, and then we need to do table view, reload data, and no, we need to go back to this. Now that we have our fetch GPT function ready, prompt text, and again, you'll get this if it doesn't have more than 3 characters. So let's see what happens. What is the best place to travel? Let's hit submit. Oh, and I think it's making the network request. We didn't add our activity indicator or anything like that, so we're out of the loop. Well, no wonder we're not seeing anything. Text label.text equal. I don't think I have anything being printed anywhere, so there's nowhere for us to see the response, which is kind of funny. All right, what is the best place to travel in the world? Submit. It's a difficult question to answer, and we haven't configured our table view yet in our cells, so looks like it's getting cut off here. What can we do to help this? Oh, I think if you do number of lines equals 0. And also one thing I want to do too after this is cool place to travel to right now. The pandemic has made travel more difficult, but it gets cut off here. That's actually what I'm going to change. I'm going to change this to 100. Gives us more room to play with, and you get a lot bigger responses, and you can go up to like 1,000 as you saw, so play around with it, knock yourself out. All right, and that'll pretty much wrap it up here. I'll set up the modulo operator, which will tell us what index we're at in this chat array, if we're in the even or the odd, because if we're in the even index, that means it was us, because you saw here we were added first, so we're always going to be 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, and you see we're always going to be even, and the GPT response will be odd. So that's what we're going to account for in this. And what we'll use this for is to like separate the responses, but we'll do that in the next video in the custom table view cell. But here we can assign text, and we'll run this. What is the best place to travel to? That really depends on your interest, budget. So yeah, this is really cool. We'll wrap this up in the next video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe. Peace.
I'm riding between it all in this perfect play. I'm a piece of the puzzle, I'm a fit where you need me, baby.